Hello my friends, Asoka the Geek here, and for this review we're actually going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take a look back at some classic figures from DC Collectibles. I say classic because now these figures are at least over, man, I think these are at least 8 years old, if not older. And what these are, this is specifically the DC Collectibles DC Designer Series Jae Lee collection. So these 4 figures are part of away from the DC designer line based on the art of Jae Lee. They did a few different waves like this. They did Jae Lee, I think they did a Greg Capullo. They did a number of Greg Capullo figures. They had a few others as well, which escaped me from the moment. But I just thought I would kind of show you these classic figures. Let me know if you would like to see more content like this where I show off older DC Direct and Mattel figures. But yeah, let's kind of get into it here. So we have Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Catwoman. These are older figures. They've been on display. They've been in storage, so some of them are a little warped, a little damaged, a little dusty. So please excuse that. Also, as far as accessories go, I think Catwoman might have come with an alternate head, an unmasked head, which I don't have handy. That's the only thing I think is missing. Superman and Batman, I don't recall coming with anything extra, and Wonder Woman has her sword there. But yeah, so these are based on the art of Jae Lee. If you're not into Jae Lee's art, you might not appreciate some of the stylistic choices of these figures. I love Jae Lee. I love these figures, and they specifically represent, I think it was the New 52 Superman Batman series when he did an arc on that comic book series, if memory serves. And to me, this represents that specific art style very nicely. So let's take a closer look at the figures. Enough of me blabbing on here. But here's Batman. As you can see, his ears are a little bent. Again, he was been in storage, but there it is. So if you know DC Collectibles, DC Direct, they weren't known for a lot of articulation. So his arms don't really move that much. Very basic articulation there. No ab crunch. You do have head movement. You do even have a thigh swivel, even though the rest of it isn't that articulated. But there you go. I'm going to be very careful with these because these are older figures and they could snap a little bit. But, you know, for me, what I loved about DC Direct, they were definitely more design over function. You know, they were never meant to be highly articulated figures. And for me, it worked out nicely because I love putting my figures on the shelf with a very museum pose. So it worked for me. But as far as this figure goes, man, love this figure. Love the design here. And I think this captures Jay's art really nicely, in my opinion. I love the wrinkles around the neck there, the cape and all that. I think that looks really nice. The length of the cape looks great. And I really dig the head sculpt there. So there you go. But yeah, there is Batman. Let's try and get him over here. Next up, Wonder Woman. And again, love this Wonder Woman. I love that face sculpt, man. This is one of my favorite Wonder Woman face sculpts. Just a lovely face sculpt. I love the way the eyes look, the way they're painted, the way the hair is. Just looks fantastic. So there you go. There's a sword that it comes with. There's the back of the figure. Very New 52, obviously, with the skirt. A little bit more articulation, but not much. You know, very limited articulation. But again, they're meant to be displayed. Not really posed too much. There we go. So there is Wonder Woman. Again, just beautifully done Wonder Woman. And put her to the side there. Next up is Superman. I think this is the one that gets the most differing opinions. I love it. Again, I think it looks like Jay's artwork. I know people, the head sculpt with the sort of the red line work there. People have a problem with that sometimes, but I dig it. Again, this is a very, you know, artistic choice type figure, and I love it. Love the wrinkled cape there. And man, what I loved about DC Direct was you always got new sculpts. And, you know, again, it was a different marketplace. They were going more for, you know, the comic book store crowd. So it wasn't mass produced. They were higher price point. So I think they could afford all that tooling on new sculpts for every line they did and new packaging and all that. So totally different era. But man, I do love this era of DC Direct, just with all these different you know, styles they did, different bodies, man. And I love the New 52 Superman. I love this suit so much. And I think it looks fantastic in plastic form. So there is Superman. And then next up, we have Catwoman, of course. She's definitely a little dusty. Apologies there. Love this Catwoman. She's the one I actually have on display right now. That's the hard part. I wish I could display more of my figures, and I got to make more of an effort to rotate my display because, man, these figures need air. They need to breathe. They need to be seen. I need to rotate my figures a little bit more than I have been. But there it is. There's Catwoman. Again, not too much articulation there, but still a beautiful designed figure. So there she is. All right. So some of you who maybe aren't too familiar with DC Direct might be asking, like, how does this scale with modern McFarlane figures? Let me show you. So I have the Action Comics Superman from McFarlane. So let me show you how he looks next to this Superman here. So let's get rid of Wonder Woman. And then we'll put Action Comics Superman in between Batman there. Let's make sure he's standing up. There we go. All right. So there you go. There is a modern McFarlane figure next to this DC Collectibles line. And, you know, DC Direct started out as DC Direct. And then around the New 52 era, they switched the name of the company to DC Collectibles. And then near the end of DC Collectibles Direct's existence, they switched back to DC Direct. So that's the journey of the name there. That's why you might hear it called DC Collectibles, DC Direct. I remember I talked to Jim Fletcher. He was one of the higher ups at DC Collectibles, and the reason they changed it back to DC Direct, it was because DC Collectibles, it was anything could be a DC collectible, even if it wasn't made by DC Collectibles. So that's why they switched back to DC Direct. But anyways, enough of that tangent. So there is a modern McFarlane figure next to the DC Collectibles Superman. It's funny because these are all considered 7-inch scale figures. Even this DC Collectibles one is a 7-inch scale figure. But as you can see, there's a big height difference. Honestly, DC Collectibles and McFarlane, hit or miss whether they scale well together. It's all dependent on the characters, as you can see. But they really generally don't scale that well together. For me, I don't really care because my display is a mixture of every different scale you can imagine. That's just the way I have my display organized. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting like a DC Collectibles, DC Direct figure to fill in a gap that maybe of a figure McFarlane hasn't done, just keep in mind they might not scale the best. Some characters scale really well, others don't, but you know, here's an example there for you. So anyways, there you have it. There is a look at some classic DC Collectibles figures. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Would you like to see more reviews like this, looking back at older figures? What do you guys think about these figures? Do they properly represent the artwork of Jae Lee? But other than that, thanks so much for watching. Always appreciate the time you've taken to watch this video, and have a great day.